Welcome to Less Process, More Autonomy with a Team Playbook. My name is Sven. I work for a company called K15T. But the talk is actually about the Atlassian Team Playbook. Who have heard about the Atlassian Team Playbook before? 1, 2, okay, great. But actually my story starts way before that, way before the Atlassian, before I joined K15T, and even before I joined Atlassian, I was 7 years working for Atlassian and helped to become the Team Playbook, to bring that actually to the world. And my story starts way before that, back in 1999 when I just graduated from university. Imagine me, younger, without gray hair, enthusiastic, passionate. I just came from university and wanted to build software, right? So when I started my first project, actually, I came in and I knew how to. I mean, I learned that at university. I knew how to do software. I learned this one at university. This is the way we should go. The waterfall method. I know the younger people underneath you, they just think, what is the waterfall method? I've never heard of that. The older guys here, yeah, been there, done that. We know it's not working. But at that time, it was the way to develop software, right? We wrote down our requirements, big requirements document. Someone signed it and said, yes, this is the way we go. Then we sat down and did the programming everything, testing everything. We were done, we were happy, and then showed it back to the customer, and the customer said, this is not exactly what I thought it should be. I need this and this, and so we changed the requirement document. I mean, who have done work that way knows that it was super painful. It was super painful to work this way because you were always frustrated. You built something and then you destroyed it again because this is not what the customer wanted. Super frustrating, and this is actually what we all felt back in the days. But then, actually, in 2004, I came into contact with something they called agile software development. Wow. So we discovered actually Scrum, and then the Scrum was actually so great. Everything was just shiny unicorns, right? We had the customer right next to us who said, yeah, this is what we want to do. We had this short iteration at that time, 1 month sprints, which was usual. It was better than actually the half a year kind of waterfall thing that we were doing before. So 1 month was just like, woo! We're speeding up here. And then everything was all of a sudden very, very visual. We could see the tasks, who's working on what, how's our progress. Awesome, great. That was really cool. But then at that time, Scrum was not the only thing that came up. All of a sudden, more methodologies like Scrum showed to the world, like, hey, Kanban came. Yeah, if you want to work a little bit more agile, really, then do Kanban. And then we had to scale it somehow, enterprise unified process, and then we found out, no, it's maybe not the right way. So Spotify came and said, oh, we need squadification. And then now everyone is talking about SAFe. Yeah, we're having a release train. That's great, or not. I don't know if that's a step forward. Anyway, that's okay, because every team is different, every organization is different, but these are not the only things. A lot of other stuff showed to the world, a lot of other agile methodologies are out there, and you can actually pick and choose now from the methodology that works for you, or just change one methodology so it works for you, right? So 18 years of the Agile Manifesto. Of course, there are some different flavors of Agile, right? And well, some of those methodologies just getting us into a very, very process-heavy thing. So let's go back, right? Let's go back and think about, is it really something we should do SAFe or Scrum or Kanban or whatever methodology, squadification? Is that really the thing? What is actually at the heart of Agile? The heart of Agile is that we constantly change. We constantly have to adapt to new situations, to just learn from what we have done in the past and change the way we work. And not just the way we work, also with the way we develop software, right? So what do we need for that? For enable teams to change, right? We need to empower those teams. The teams need to have the power to make changes themselves, not a big big process where we have to go to the boss or the boss's boss and say, oh, we want to work differently. Let's write that down, put that in documents, and then everyone is working this way, right? No, we need to be empowered. The team need to be empowered to work this way. And then at the same time, we need the right team structure. I mean, it doesn't help if we say, oh, we need to work on the design because the design, then we have to wait 6 weeks for a designer to help us with the design. That doesn't really work. So in the past, actually, there were pretty clear roles, right? We were the developers, then there were the QA engineers, and then we have the IT operation guys who were running our software. Nowadays, hopefully, things have changed. We're working more in a cross-functional team, right? We have the designers there, and when we need an analytic guy or analytic person, we bring that person into the team, and then this person can help us driving more analytics into our software. Today, actually, we are building the software, we are owning the software, and actually the roles are actually blending, so designers can also write code, right? Not everyone agrees. I think it's a good thing, but anyway. So they can also write code, or IT people have to also write code. We have to maybe also do some of the design tasks, the simple things. So what I want to say is we are blending also the roles, right? So we know now we're working in cross-functional teams, right? Okay, everything is fine. But then teams are kind of different. We have these organized teams that are pretty new. What's going on? They have their processes in place. It's working for them pretty well. And then at the same time, we have maybe more I would call it unstructured teams, the teams that are a little bit more chaotic, right? So if you compare those teams, one team, if they do a meeting, they say 5 minutes before the end of the meeting, now we are wrapping up the meeting, we are putting down our tasks, and then we go and work on it. And the chaotic teams are more like, hey, we're running over, we never stop discussing. So who's more effective, right? Which team is more effective? The more process-oriented or the more chaos-oriented? Actually, Google did a investigation. They looked into which teams are more effective. Is it more the structured or unstructured teams? And they called it Project Aristotle. You can read all about that. What they found out, this is not an indicator for high-performance teams. You can be a high-performance teams no matter what. If you're structured or unstructured, this is not a good indicator. So teams are actually working differently, and that is okay. So teams are different. But then we have also different projects, right? So maybe someone is working on a Mars landing mission software, right? And they have to work very, very differently as a team that is doing a pet tracking software on an app or something that you can track your pets when your dog walker goes with your dog. That's actually a thing in San Francisco, and then people are tracking where your dog is. So actually, what I want to say is the processes to develop those kind of software is different, right? So with a Mars landing mission, we cannot send a rocket each week to the Mars and say, oh, software failed. Send another rocket next week, great, software succeeded. That's not working, right? But the pet tracking software, yeah, I mean, if the app crashes constantly, we just send an update and then everyone gets the update, great. So totally different approaches here to develop these kind of software. So what we know now, we have different teams. We are running different projects. And then I see in big corporations that they want us to do it all with the same process. Is that really working, right? I think it doesn't work this way. Also, if we think about how projects are run these days, it's like, okay, we start, and then we have the milestones, and in July, milestone 1, in August, milestone 2, and then we're done. This is not how projects actually, I've run a lot of projects, and this is now how things working. Even this is a very simplified version of how projects are actually running. We're running iterations. Let's assume we're starting a sprint, and 2 days after the sprint, we find out that the thing that we wanted to build, that's not possible. So we're not waiting the whole 2-week cycle until we change things. No, we do it immediately, right? This is just a ideal way of showing it. Well, I think actually software projects are much more unpredictable, right? We go 2 weeks into that direction, then find out, oh, that was the wrong database decision that we took. So we're trying out a new database, and so on and so on. And this is actually, from my time at Atlassian, how Atlassian has structured their team. They say, okay, good, here's the goal, and now find out how you're going to reach that goal. So they set up their teams like having the right team structure, so having cross-functional teams, and then empower those teams to make those decisions, how they run their projects. Great. Totally chaotic, right? But then what Atlassian found out, what we have found out, is that teams are doing some things that help them overcome some hurdles. For example, there was one team, the Jira team, one team of the Jira teams, they had this feeling that there was a disalignment when they worked with the leadership team. So what they actually did, they called in a meeting each week. They called it Demo Trust, where they demoed actually what they have built to invite the leadership team to get feedback from the leadership team. And they called it Demo Trust. And all of a sudden, not just the one Jira team did it, but the team next door said, oh, that's great, we're also doing that. And then the Confluence team did it, and so on and so on. So this thing really helped those teams to overcome this hurdle that they were disalignment with the leadership team. So, and then our team coaches discovered all the small things, all the small, we call it plays, that teams are doing to overcome some hurdles, and said, wow, why don't we just spread it to the whole company, right? Why don't we just write everything down that we know that helped teams and then share it with the whole company? And that's what we called at that time, and we still call it this way, a Team Playbook. So it's a bunch of Confluence pages, of course. There was a bunch of Confluence pages that we put together and wrote down what is working for that team. Also to give some teams a little bit more stability. So there's a lot of place in the Team Playbook. But then we thought, this is so great. This is so good. Not just Atlassian should benefit from that, right? We want actually every software development team in the world to benefit from that. So what Atlassian did, they open sourced it, and you can see it now at atlassianteamplaybook.com. They actually released 40 plays already. So 40 plays are in the Team Playbook. You can look it up. And just to give you an idea, what is a play? I already introduced one play, but I just want to go a little bit deeper with some plays to give you an understanding what is a play and how it helps you to become better in your software development on a day-to-day basis. All right, so play number one is about priorities. We all love that, right? Setting priorities, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. We're saying, okay, what are the big things that we're working on? So we're going to ask around. So we're going to ask the designers, what do you think are the big things for the next year? And they say, of course, we want to have a better user experience. Our user experience is maybe not so good or shitty. So let's have another user experience. Okay, good, great. Let's work on the user experience. So, and then you go to the management team, right? And the management team said, "Whoa, we just had our management offsite. Great, it was cool." And we decided, as a management team, Project X is the most important project that we will run for the next year. Okay, great. Project X, most important project. Wow. If the management team says that, we put that on priority one. And then the programmer comes in and says, user experience is great, but we have this old front-end technology and we want to do React. So let's work for that at that first. So we're going to exchange the front-end technology and then we're working on the user experience and it's way faster, right? Okay, good. So front-end technology, okay, great. Then we go to the salespeople. The salespeople says, this customer has requested this feature and we have to do that because we already sold that feature. So, okay, that's a high priority, so we put it on priority 2, great. And then we're done with our list of priorities. Woo! Finally. But after 2 months, the management team comes in again and said, oh yeah, Project X was important, but Project Y and Z are much more important than now, so work on that. So it's really hard to set priorities throughout the year. So what is the Team Playbook helping with that? Well, there's a play in the Team Playbook called OKRs. That's not an invention by Atlassian. Who's running OKRs in their organization here? No one. One? Okay, good. So let me explain a little bit what OKRs are and how they help actually you to set your goals better. So a little bit of history. OKRs are not an invention by Atlassian. Actually, Intel was the first company that was running OKRs, and it was when they developed the 8086 microprocessors. At that time, Motorola came up with a real cool microprocessor, and Intel said, ooh, we are doomed, we are out of the market. So we have to really concentrate on this next thing, the 8086 microprocessor. So we have to get the whole company to buy in. So they came up with this OKR framework, and really concentrated on building that, and after, I think, 16 months, they had built the production, they have built the concept, they have built the marketing, and actually threw Motorola out of the market with that microprocessors by just getting the whole company buy-in on this processor, to work on this processor. Google is running actually OKRs since day one, or actually after 2 years or so they introduced OKRs, and they are still working with OKRs, setting their goals. Without that, we wouldn't have such brilliant products like Google Maps or Gmail, because these are really, the team really concentrated on hitting those home with OKRs. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what are OKRs. OKRs is, of course, an acronym, stands for objectives on one side and key results on the other side. So setting your goals with big objectives. So what is an objective? An objective is really setting the direction of your software product or whatever you develop, right? So an objective is a really big thing, something that is really saying, okay, this is really what we want to concentrate on, and it should always have some outcome for the customer or for the organization itself. So it should be really focused, not just on we want to work on feature A or feature B. It should really like enable the customer, help the customer. I actually just I had an OKR meeting yesterday with a team at K15T, and we actually were saying, okay, we have a lot of evaluators, but not a lot of people that really buy the software. So we have to work on, the objective is to just turn more evaluators into buyers, right? So this is what the team set up to. So this is really something that's really a big outcome for the company, and this is really what we want to work on for the next quarter. And then limit the scope. Don't have more than 2 to 3 objectives per quarter. And otherwise you just get it's too much to concentrate on, and you forget what you really want to work on. So this is one thing. The other thing is, if you have your objective, you set your key results. And key results are, you have 1 to 3 key results per objective. Could be more, could be less, or one is just one key result, but could be more also. But it's just a rule of thumb that you have these number of key results. And key results are really something that is measurable. You want to have a measurable outcome. So when we take this example of this turning evaluators into buyers, maybe we are now at, 20%. That's just a number that came out of my head. And we want to turn it to 40%, right? So this is really something that I can measure at the end of the quarter. I can see, okay, did I reach that goal or not? If you have a key result, a fluffy key result, like we want to release that software on 1st of July, yeah, sometimes you have these fluffy key results, but I would recommend like, okay, 100% goal reached is 1st of July, 70% goal reached is 10th of July, or whatever. So you really are dragging forward a specific goal. And then make it ambitious. Not something that is, that's easy to reach. It should really be hard. You should be stretched to go for that goal. So let's drive another example here. So for the Jira team, one objective could be, for example, Jira has this backlog where you can skim through the backlog, and the loading time is maybe slow if you have a lot of backlog items. So one objective could be to make that faster, right? And there are different key results you can drive with that, but the objective is just like make the customer more happy by making the backlog, skimming through the backlog faster. So one key result of those is, for example, hey, when we have 10,000 items in the backlog, we want to reduce the loading time by 80%. So it should be faster loading the backlog. This is a key result that we want to reach. So we measure now, and then we measure in 3 months again, and should be reduced by 80% on our test environment. And then we measure at the end of the quarter and say, the result is 64%. It's not 80%, so we didn't reach that goal, right? It's actually we are just 80% of, we just reached 80% of the goal, so you measure it between 0 and 1, so it's a 0.8. We failed. Not. Because I said it's stretch goals, right? So this is a scale that Google came up with. You can see 1.0, mind blown. It's our stretch goal is reached. It's really stretchy. It stretched us. Yeah, we did it. If we are between 1.0 and 0.7, yeah, it's still good, right? It's still okay. It's still all right. So we are actually here at 70%. That's still okay. If we've been underneath it, and that happens always. If you're below that, yeah, we didn't reach it because of other reasons. We want to learn from it so we can improve it for the next quarter. As I said, we're doing these quarterly, these OKRs. So every quarter we sit together before the quarter actually starts and then talking about the OKRs, setting them. And then during the quarter, just to get reminded, because this is also something that I see in a lot of companies, you set yourself goals and then you wander through the year and then you look again after 1 year and see, oh yeah, that was our goals, but doesn't make sense anymore. You need to be reminded that these are really the things that you want to work on, really concentrate on. So you do check-ins actually each month or each 2 weeks, no matter how you want to do that. We're doing it monthly. And then you have your forecast. You say, okay, we are on the road, 1.0, and then after 1 month or 2 months, you say, we're not so sure anymore that we can reach that, so it's 0.6 and so on and so on. So of course, we're using Confluence, so this is our frame, our template for objectives. So you can see the objective here, and then all the key results, and then all the measurements there, and who's owning it. There's a template for that, for writing down your objectives and key results. And really help our teams to concentrate on the big things that they want to drive forward and don't get caught up into the small things that somehow crumble in through the quarter. Okay, now I say go and make OKRs with your team, right? Can you do that already? No? It's a little bit like giving you this tasteful dish. You taste it, say, oh, it's delicious, great. And then I say, now you cook it. Say, ooh, I cannot cook it. I don't know how to cook it. I think it's delicious, it's good, but I don't know how to cook it. But there are actually helpful things that helps you to cook that meal, right? There are people like Jamie Oliver writing books about it and tell you how to do that, right? And then you maybe put your own flavors in and make your own recipes out of that, but you follow just this advice from Jamie Oliver. And that's actually the same what you do with the plays in the Team Playbook. So this is the objective and key result plays, and you can see it's written down like, hey, you have here all the overview, how many people you need, how much time it takes. Then you have kind of what you call in a recipe, the ingredients, what you need, actually the materials, what you need. And then it's a step-by-step guide to guide you through the different meetings that you have for OKRs and the templates that you fill out and stuff like that. So it's a step-by-step guide. And this is how all plays in the Team Playbook are set up. So you can go through them, and it's a really like a recipe just for making better software development. Okay. Next play is about driving. Actually, it's about getting everyone aligned on a project. So I was actually working as a team lead in a software development team. We had this request from a customer that the customer wanted to have a dashboard. So a dashboard about some certain things that they want to see in the software. And then I went to one of my developers and said, hey, let's build that dashboard. And the developer said, okay, great, I do that, go in, and then after 1 week I said, how's it going? Right? I said, oh, it's going well, I'm already 80% there, it's cool, it's great. And then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I came in and said, hey, show me what you got. Oh yeah, it's almost done, it's 95%. I will show you next week, then I have something to show. I mainly worked on the back end, but then I have something to show. And then, so long time, I've been there a couple of times where I said, okay, I thought actually we were developing something like this, right? A nice looking dashboard. And then I didn't see anything and I had this bad feeling, and then I saw what the person did and then showed it to me and showed more like this. Say, oh, totally failed. We were totally disaligned on the goals, what the dashboard should do. I was aligned on should be just shiny, good overview, and this person said, I need to show everything, right? Doesn't matter how it looks like, I want to just show everything. On a small scale, yeah, this happens, but it's also on a larger scale, on a team scale. Actually, we had 2 teams at Atlassian. One was sitting in Singapore, and the other one, or in Vietnam, sorry, and the other one was in Sydney, and they worked on the same feature. And it was not the problem that their team was physically disconnected. They actually have set everything up. They had their OKRs. They had their issues in Jira, so they could see what they're working on, and they were doing daily stand-ups. But then, at the same time, they got nothing done. And there was it was always long discussions, and the other team didn't understand what the other team is saying, and why is it not moving forward. And there was a lot of frustration in those teams, right? They want to work on something, but they couldn't get anything done. There were long discussions, and they didn't know what's going on. So we brought those teams together, and then we really talked about what is the goal of this whole project that we are running, right? And the one team, it was really fascinating, because the one team was saying, we're working on improving the performance for the existing customers. So the performance of the software gets better, so existing customers are more happy. And the other team said, no, we're working on getting more customers on our platform. The feature should enable to get more customers in, so we're working on customer growth. And then we thought, wow, the team is totally disaligned in the goals. We were talking about the feature that we have, but we were not talking about the goal that we want to reach. And that's also what I see in a lot of software projects, that we already have the solution in our mind, but we didn't talk about why are we building that? What is the goal here? So we never talk actually about the problem that we want to solve, right? Not to the heart of it. We're not going to the heart of the problem. We think, okay, yeah, this is the problem, but hey, this is the solution, and then just talk about the solution part. So I want everyone to talk about the big hairy problem that we have, and then why we want to solve it. Where's the validation data that this is really a problem, and what are possible solutions before just jumping in and saying we're building this particular feature. And there's a play in the Team Playbook called Project Poster, and the Project Poster is actually raising those questions. It's went through a lot of iterations at Atlassian, and this is what the teams now agreed on, what helps them actually to start the conversation about what are we really solving here. So this is the Project Poster. Of course, it's never a poster. We are of course at Atlassian we're working in Confluence, so it's a Confluence page like this. Right? And you can see also that from the beginning, we don't write everything down in the beginning. Yeah, we know that this is done here. Yeah, cool. But some things like possible solutions, we know the problem, but we haven't talked about the solutions, or we're continuously talking about the solutions that we want to. So this is still in progress. So it's a living document. This is also somehow very, very important that we still keep that as a living document. And then the team gets actually what it enables is not the problem that we had with the team in Vietnam and Sydney. The team gets aligned on the goal that they want to reach, and this is really driving the team forward and making the best solution for the customer or for the company. So the team gets aligned with the project poster. Everyone agrees on what's important. As I said, it's very important to keep it up to date. Because you just don't want to have it as a problem solving or talk about the problem. You want to also point out to this project poster, because it's really describing what you're building. So if you get a new developer in, said, oh, what are we building? You can always point to that project poster. Or if someone says, what are you working on and why are you working on this? Why is this so important? You can always point to the project poster, because everything is in there, right? So it's really a map for why are we doing this and how are we doing this. I start projects just with project posters nowadays. I never do anything without it, and it really starts great conversation. All right, let's talk about another play number 3. And this play is about decision taking. You probably don't know who that person is. That's Jürgen Spangl. He's head of design at Atlassian. But you probably know this person here, Steve Jobs. So besides that, both persons are very interested in design, very important for them. what do they have in common here? Yeah, they both have a clicker in their hand, they're both staying on the stage, but they're wearing actually the same outfit. And it's not like they're wearing black shirt and jeans just on the stage. They're wearing actually, or Steve has, they're wearing this same outfit every day. So if you see Jürgen come to the office in Sydney, he's wearing black shirt and a jeans. In the now winter time, in the Sydney summertime, he's wearing shorts, but like this. So wearing the same outfit every day. Why are they doing that? If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, if he's not standing in front of a jury, he's wearing actually a dark gray hoodie and a gray shirt. All day, every day they come to work, they're wearing the same. Why are these leaders doing that? Yeah, they wanted to limit the number of decisions per day. So you have just a limited number of good decisions per day, and they don't want to waste it by saying, I want to wear this kind of nice T-shirt or this. They just take it from the wardrobe, take it on, no decision made. So they want to limit the number of decisions. So if you're working in an environment where it's a very hierarchical environment and you have to go to your boss with every small decision, right? Here's one advice. Just go early in the morning, because then you know there are some good decisions left. Don't go in the afternoon, because then it's just shitty decisions. Anyway, so talking about decisions, I always categorize my decisions around this model here. That's just a mental model. So it's a decision tree. So where is your decision? Do you have to go to your boss? Do you have to talk to your team? Do you have to, I don't know, talk to the CEO about the decision? So, and this mental model says there are leaf decisions, right? So leaf decisions are the decisions that have no real risk. Will I build in a caching mechanism in the software or not? Then you have this branch decisions. There are some risk, but it can be mitigated. It's a little bit about what language, what programming language should we use, what framework should we use. We still can reverse that if we want. It's a little bit of work, but we can still reverse the decision. So that's a branch decision. And then you have the trunk decisions. And these are the big risk for the company or for the product, where you say, if we're going that way, it's really hard to turn back. It's really hard to turn that decision back. So leave decisions is actually something that you should decide. You don't. Maybe you talk to a teammate or something, but you decided. Maybe you document it somewhere, maybe not. But this is something that you decide. The branch decisions are more like the team decisions. That the team decides. You bring it up in a retrospective, in a stand-up, or wherever that you want to drive the decision, and then you talk about it and you make the decision as a team. But what about how do you drive forward these trunk decisions? I've been in a lot of situations where I said, oh, I cannot decide, maybe my team cannot decide. It's a bigger decision because it's a lot of departments that are involved here. So how do I drive that forward? Of course, there's a play in the playbook. It's called a daisy. And we are running a lot of daisies, or we have been running a lot of daisies at Atlassian. So what is a daisy? A daisy is, of course, an acronym, stands for A, approver. So you decide who's the approver here, who's saying, okay, we're going with that option. So you have one approver for your decision. And then you have one driver for your decision. If you want to drive that decision forward, it's probably you. You're going to say, we're driving this decision, what are the different options that we can take, and then bring that decision forward to make that decision. And then you have the contributors, people that have stake in the game, that maybe depend on the decision, that are connected to the decision. So you have these contributors who maybe want to talk with you, discuss the decision with you. And then, very important, you have the people that need to be informed. And these people doesn't have to take part in or shouldn't take part in the discussion, because they just need to be informed about the decision. They have an opinion too, and sometimes they are very loud, but you don't have to listen to them because they are not the contributors. Very, very important. So, Daisy, as I said, you have one approver and one driver, right? One driver, one approver, a couple of contributors, and then the people that needs to know what's going on. Give you an example here. So we had this Trello app. I think we launched it, Atlassian launched it 2 years ago. It's a desktop app for Mac and Windows, and basically it's just a web view wrapping around the web view, and then you can just start it, and it's an easy. You have shortcuts for creating new boards, new cards, and so on and so on. So we said, okay, this desktop app is now ready. Should we do something more with it? Should we add some more features to it? Or do we say, okay, it's now ready, we have shipped it, and we stop the project? So we wanted to know, and this is a decision that we had to take a little bit broader. So we created this Daisy. Daisy is, of course, a Confluence page again, where we mention actually the contributors, so they get a notification that they got mentioned, so they can add their opinion to it. You see driver and approver there. They can also get mentioned, so you can start the discussion with the approver once everyone has set their opinions, and then you can have the different options here: option 1, option 2, option 3, whatever. Discuss it, pros and cons. And then at the end, you make a recommendation, go to the approver, and make the call, and the approver makes the call. So this really helps to drive decisions forward. Not only that, now everyone that need to be involved are following the discussions because they get mentions, they get updates when the page updates. So they're following the discussions. It's also very transparent, right? Because we have openly, this page is open for everyone, so everyone can see why and how this decision has been taken. So you get a very aligned decision. Everyone could say what they want to say. It's very transparent for everyone, and you get it in a timely manner because actually, if you want to call in a lot of people in one meeting, you have to find time, and that takes time. You can do that asynchronously on a page, start the discussion there. Maybe at the end you have to call everyone in, but you don't have to per se do that, so you can really drive that decision faster forward. Just can recommend Daisies. It's helped us a ton to drive decisions forward. Okay, play number 4 is about something which is actually my favorite play from the Team Playbook. It's about retrospective. I like retrospective because it's a very agile thing. You learn, you improve, right? So you look back and they say, oh, I learned from the past, and then you look forward and say, hey, I wanna improve, right? From my learnings. This is how you run a retrospective. You look back and say, oh, this went good, this didn't went good, and then you say, okay, what can we do better, right? But isn't that too late already, right? You did already, maybe you run into problems, but you learn for the next one. Why don't you just solve it when it comes, right? Actually, you want to fix things actually before they happen. How do you do that? How can you fix things before they actually happen? So I grew up in the 80s, and I love that movie here. The DeLorean, flux compensator, great. We travel into the past, fix things before they actually happen, and then go back to the future, right? This is great. Okay, let's do that. If we could do that, actually, we could say that, hey, we take some different decisions here. The decision wasn't good, we know that, so we take different decision here. Well, we can take some shortcuts, or we know that these were some steps that were necessary. We skip them, right? So, said that is, sorry to say, there's no play that built a flux compensator in a DeLorean. Would be great if we have that, but there's no play that you can travel in the past. But what can you do? You can actually travel in the future. So there's a play actually where you travel into the future and from now on see how the product will look like in the future and say, oh, well, we did some mistakes along the way. It's actually quite interesting if you ask people, like, what is the problem here? And people already know what the problem will be for the product, but they don't speak up loud because there's no stage for them to do that. So this is what we call a pre-mortem. So pre-mortem, let me just go through this. It's a step-by-step guide here. So step 1, you prepare the group that you want to invite for a pre-mortem, saying, okay, we are launching this product in May or something. What could happen? What could actually slow us down? Right? And what could make us nervous already, or what makes us nervous already? Think about that. Or what could actually stop us from being successful? Think about that. And then you just invite those people and you're setting the stage and say, imagine it's January 2020, we're launching this app, and now what? So could be like, wow, this app is a totally killer app because of these features that we launched. Or we have some security issues, it crashes all the time, blah, 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 blah. So you're setting the stage here, and then you divide actually the group into two groups, saying, hey, one is a success group that thinks, oh wow, we're doing great, and the other one is a failure group that says, not so good. There are some issues with our project, with our app. So talk about that. Of course, everyone writes it down. Then you have the success group write their things down. You want to diversify that, so you change the sheets and say, hey, now you write down your failures and your wins, and then you look at those, and it's amazing actually what comes up. You look at those and say, these are the most likely things, or the things that have the most impact, and vote for them, and say, sorry. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on 1, 2, 3, because we want to change the plan, right? We need to change the plan because we know this is coming. We know that we haven't spent time a lot on security, so we should invest more time in security, and this will really hold us back when we launch the app. So changing the plan, pretty cool stuff. So run a pre-mortem. And I know that a lot of teams. So one team that says, "Wow, our project is so awesome. We're gonna launch, and it's gonna be great." And they came out of a pre-mortem and said, "Ooh, we are doomed. Shit, we didn't know all these flaws." Right? So just open the stage and talk about these things. That's where a pre-mortem can help you. Now, picking the right place. I said 40 plays into Team Playbook. That's a lot. I don't recommend to just run in and just run all plays, right? You just pick the right plays that are for your team. To give you an example here, so the Confluence collaborative editing team. So Confluence has this collaborative editing mode, but they announced it years ago. So you could, like in Google Docs, write at the same time with different collaborators. But they announced it years ago and said, "Oh, we're going to launch it," and then nothing actually happened. You see, 2 years in the row. Actually, after 3 years, product manager came in, a new product manager came in, new dev manager came in. Team was a little bit frustrated that it wasn't shipping. 4 years in a row, we had actually a lot of more product managers burned through the project. 4 product managers, 3 designers, and 2 dev managers. You can imagine that the team was very frustrated that they didn't ship. It was really painful for the team, and they didn't know how to solve that. So we brought in a team coach and said, "Oh, we're trying out this new thing called the Team Playbook. Are you open for it?" So yeah, okay, great. And they looked at some place and said, "Okay, first thing is we're seeing that you're not talking about the big problem that you have, right? What is the problem that people have? And just solve this one. You want to solve everything, but you just want to solve this small problem. So let's work on that." So they came up with a project poster. Then there was a lot of decisions that they didn't take because they were afraid to take it. So the team coach brought in some daisies and said, "Okay, now we're running those decisions." And it was not actually that the decision was taken. It was the discussions. All of a sudden, they had open discussions around some decisions and said, "Oh, these 3 options are shitty. This 4th option is way better." So starting this discussion helped the team also to talk about things they were frustrated for. And then actually they ran a pre-mortem, I think 3 months before they launched. And what came out of the pre-mortem was that they wanted to launch for cloud first. They totally forgot to put analytics in. So they would have been would have started and launched in a blind mode without knowing what the customers are doing with this and didn't know where to improve the product. So that's what they found out actually in this pre-mortem that they ran. So 3 months later, after the pre-mortem, the team launched the first version. Took another year, of course, to make it stable, to make it really stable. But then it's now there. Confluence collaborative editing, and these plays really helped the team to overcome these hurdles that they had. Now the question is, what problems do you have, right? In your project teams, what problems do you have? Do you know that actually? Do you know how to diagnose what problem you have? There's actually one more play that I want to show you, and it helps you with saying, where is our problem in our team? And it's called a Team Health Monitor. And it's about diagnosing your team, saying, okay, we're good at actually diagnosing our software, right? We know we're running unit tests and stuff like that. Great, we know the quality is on this level, but we don't know how healthy our team is. So this is what the team health monitor is for. It's a simple thing of asking 8 questions to your team. 8 questions for project teams. So first thing you ask, does this project have a full-time owner? Do we have a full-time owner that is running maybe 80% of their time for that project? Is the team balanced? Do we have the right people inside our teams? Do we know, or do we lack design or analytic or product management? Do we have a shared understanding what we're building? Is everyone on the same line that this is really what we want to reach? This is the goal that we have in our minds. What about values and metrics? Do we know how success will look like? Can we measure that somehow? Do we know where we are on the path of success? Proof of concept. Do we have something that proves that what we're currently building will be solving that problem that we have? Do we have a proof of concept here? Maybe a mock-up or something. Dependent one-pager. Do we have a one-pager that actually says what we're doing, like a project poster that we can point people to, and if we get new members or new people in the team that says, okay, here's what we're building. Have we figured out all dependencies? Do we know all dependencies? Maybe we need the legal team at the end for GDPR reasons or something. Do we know that? Have we booked that time? Have we figured out all dependencies? And how is the velocity? How are we working? How are we moving forward? How good are we at that? So these are the 8 checkpoints for better team health. And then you just ask your team, do you think we have a full-time owner? And the team can just vote with yes, so, or no. So that's just what they do. Or do we have a balanced team? And the team says yes, no. And then you just talk about the results, and then you decide for, are we green, are we yellow, or are we red? These items, these votes, you put you can put it on a whiteboard like this. You can use Confluence for this, or for example, the Trello team at Atlassian. They are a distributed team. They use Trello for that, so they call in a video call, run a team health monitor session, and say, hey, do we think we have a full-time owner? 1, 2, 3, add your card to the Trello board now. And then they're adding their cards to the Trello board and vote for full-time owner, and that way they're filling out their team health monitor board. So no matter how you run it, you just need something to capture it. And then you look over time. How is it going over time? How good are we? Where do we improve? Where do we maybe not improve or get worse, actually? So you note that down over time. Maybe you're doing a health monitor every month or every quarter. I don't know, depending on your team health, of course, where you want to improve. But the team health monitor just gives you the diagnosis, right? It gives you just these are the symptoms. But how do you actually solve things that you find out? If you don't have a balanced team, what should you do, right? So there are these plays that helps you overcome these hurdles. So you know already the answer. So there's also something where you can put plays together with items of the health monitor, where you say if you lack a shared understanding, run a demo trust, for example. You can do that. But now said that, these are all great plays. I said 40 plays in the Team Playbook help Atlassian a lot, but you are not Atlassian. You work in a different organizations with different teams and different people and running different projects than Atlassian does. And these plays helps Atlassian to overcome the hurdles, but you probably already have solutions in there. It's a little bit like the Jamie Oliver, right? You maybe take a play and then make it your own, right? It's a little bit like taking a recipe and then cook it and said, I don't like this flavor in it, so I remove that, or I add this flavor. So and this is the same with the plays. Just take this playbook just as an example how you can do things, and then make it your own. Build your own team playbook and add plays from your side too that you think are good for your team, and add those two to the team playbook, and build that way. You build your company's team playbook. As I said, different teams, different projects, same process, right? Is that really what we want to have, the same process for all teams? I don't say per se that processes are bad, right? Processes are also fine. If you do something repeatable, the process is good. I'm flying back tomorrow to Hamburg, and then I don't want the pilot to try something fancy else, to try a new play. He should stick to the process, right? That's good. It's a proven process that is working. Also for our software development, if we have some incidents, we are running actually at K15T, we have this incident handbook where we don't panic. We just inform the customers, like it says in our handbook, and don't try something fancy new. We know it's a stressful situation, so we stick to the plan here. So processes are not a bad thing per se. They're helping us to doing things right? That we don't forget anything, that we're doing things right. But if we build something new, if we work on a project that builds something new, processes are often in the way of discovering something really innovative and really new. If you want to do the right things, you need adaptability. You need to run into problems, fail, stand up again, do something differently. Otherwise, you won't innovate and you won't run your project forward. The process is just a process, right? So I can just say the most important thing is to identify that you have a problem in your team. So just being honest to yourself and saying, we have a problem here. We need to fix something. Then you need to find a solution, something that, and this is actually the most problematic thing that people say, oh yeah, we have a problem, and being open about that. Finding a solution, trying that out, or a play in the playbook or wherever, and then just go and solve the fucking problem, right? And don't wait until someone else comes in and solves it for you, or wait until the company comes in and say, oh, there's a process already, we define a process for that. But no, just solve the problem yourself. Don't just rely on anyone else. Just try in your team and solve your problems yourself. Or as the co-founder of Atlassian once said to me, now Sven, really, stop talking and go and get shit done, right? This is all what we want to do, go and get shit done. And the Team Playbook helps with that. And that's it. Thank you very much, and enjoy Basel 1.